Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I wanted to talk about my favorite book reads so far this year for 2025. It is June, so I'm kind of treating this as like a half-year review of the books I've read. My goal and sort of resolution at the beginning of every year is to read at least 12 art books. 50 books total, but at least 12 art. So it's like one a month. So I'm still sort of teaching myself and reviewing and looking at new things and trying to spark my own motivation and creativity and getting ideas and being inspired. Like I just try and do that. Now I am currently, as I am forever, in a low-buy art supply. So I do this by going to our local library and searching online and trying to find just any and all creative solutions to find books without actually purchasing them. So let's get into this. And I have 3 books I want to talk about and 1 honorable mention. So the first book I wanted to talk about is called Your Inner Critic is a Big Jerk and Other Truths About Being Creative. So this book was written by Danielle Crissa in October. It was published October 2016. So it's been out for 9 years and it's 136 pages. Now, I don't have the physical copy. I have digital ebook copies of these. So I'm going to throw up some screen captures of things, and that's how we're going to look at these books together. But for this book, I wanted to mention this one, Make Your Art No Matter What, Moving Beyond Creative Hurdles, Beth Pickens. Anytime I can find a book that goes into sort of, I think I'm going to have to close my back door. Hold on. Sorry, I was trying to leave my balcony door open for the cats to get sunshine, but it's just too loud on a weekend. Okay, so anytime I can find books that mention sort of the mental issues that go along with being creative, with being an artist, I want to bring those books to the forefront, to your attention as I find them. It feels like there's so few of them, but it's such an important topic. And at your art journey, wherever you're at any given time, anybody can be affected by sort of your brain telling you you're not good enough, imposter syndrome, artist block, artist burnout, all these different things that sort of feed into how you create and how you go through your journey. These books, even if you're not currently afflicted or affected by any of those things, it can be a really nice sort of boost and boon to your mental state to read these books anyways. So these books are my favorite because no matter your creativity level, whether you consider yourself a beginner or a hobbyist or you're advanced and you've been, doing this for decades, these books are absolutely fabulous. So this is one I own. I will link my Art Reads playlist, but I did a review on this one and I loved it so much I bought it. But I found another one. So, Your Inner Critic is a Big Jerk and Other Truths About Being Creative. I'm going to throw up the table of contents. I think it's very important that things are sort of succinctly linked and labeled out so you can find things. Are you serious? Setting deadlines. Warning, my label may stop you before you start. I'm a parent. It's all the things that sort of like, well, I don't have the same 8 hours of the day that everybody else does. I have X many kids, I have this job, I'm doing this. Like there's all these different things that sort of become mental roadblocks to finding time to create, to sort of making room and space for art in your life. And these books are so great at sort of helping you overcome that, showing you you're not the only one that feels this way, that has these same problems. Like sometimes understanding that you're not alone is such a really nice feeling, and I love when books sort of point that out as well. Jealousy, talking about that, that plays in part into imposter syndrome, investigative assignments, turning the critic into a cheerleader. Boy, is that a useful skill to have in your tool set. And that's something that as artists, we don't talk a lot about, especially like when we're doing haul videos and things like that. We don't talk about some of the mental health things, and taking care of your mental health feeds into your creative health, and sort of getting tool sets in your mind that flip the script on your negative thinking are priceless. Like you cannot put a value to things like that. Those are things that we're not taught in school, and with social media and some of these things, like they've just been sort of expounded and magnified with this stuff, and these books are so amazing. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to show you a couple pages. It has really fun doodles. It's very easy to sort of find different things. She talks to different artists. Buckets of lies we tell ourselves. Bucket 1, fear. I'm afraid of failing. Bucket 2, the blame game. Like why we get distracted and we can't sit down to create, like all the things that, you know, sort of get in the way of that. All the little, there could be 800 little things. Like my phone rang, the doorbell went off, like the dog needed to go out. Like all these little things sort of get in the way. Bucket 3, environmental issues. Bucket 4, time, not enough of it or wasting it. Like, these are such good topics. This is such a good book. I'm a really harsh grader of books. I'm on Goodreads if you're interested. I'm trying to go through different book series. I read a lot of murder mysteries, but I do pepper in as many art books as I can find. Some old, some new. It's whatever I can find in the depths of our library. I don't care what era it's from. And I definitely give this book 4 out of 5 stars. Like, it's really good. Do I wish I owned a copy of it? I'm not sure. I think if somebody gave it to me, I would absolutely keep it and have it as part of a resource. I have a digital copy of it that will time out because it's an ebook, but I can keep renewing it and get it when I need it, so I don't feel the need to buy it. Again, if you're doing a low buy art supply, a no buy art supply, if you're on a limited income or a budget, check your local library. The books I'm mentioning today are not brand new. They're not a year old. See what their purchasing policy is. Find and pick a favorite librarian and and have them help you with this process and see what you can do to get them to bring this in. That being said, if you'd like to own it, if this is something that is a struggle for you regularly, or you have seasons where this hits you regularly, maybe in the winters, you know, things can sometimes be cyclical with seasons. Bookfinder.com is sort of a great place to call all the used book places with Amazon, with their used book section, with eBay, if you know you don't mind used and previously loved. So I'm just going to throw up pages. This book is great. This book is great. I think all art levels could benefit from reading this book. Wherever you're at in your journey, yes. Yes, and if I see more of these books that talk about sort of the mental aspect of trying to create versus just tutorial books, I'm going to keep bringing them to your attention and creating art reads videos about them, just because I don't feel there's enough. It's just creative jumpstart ideas. This book is yes. Okay, let's go to the next one. The next one is called The Art of Noticing, 131 Ways to Spark Creativity, Find Inspiration, and Discover Joy in the Everyday. This book is by Rob Walker. It was published May 2019, and it has 256 pages. I also have a digital version of this book, so I will be throwing that up for us to look at together. Okay, it would help if I'm at the beginning of the book when I go to talk about it to you. Okay. I used to be organized. I don't know what happened. Okay. I like this book as well for the same reason as the previous book. Wherever you're at in your art journey, it is so much fun to find books that spark inspiration and motivation and creativity. So this is for all creative levels. It doesn't matter where you're at. And this is sort of, if you've ever been in that moment where you're like, gosh, time seems to be flying. I wish this would go by a little slower. I want to sit in this moment. I want to sort of have more core memories. Like, it just feels like everything's flying by. This book is a great way to sort of ground yourself in individual moments and slow down time and do more fun, creative things with yourself. Okay, so what this artist has done, and they have a little thing on how to use this book. There's 131 exercises. So this is definitely a book that if you purchased it, you could do like one a week, and then it would take you 3 years, or, you know what I mean? Like, You can check it out from the library and find the ones that are applicable to you, write them down, create notes, return the book, come back to it later. But he has an eyeball rating system. I'm so here for it. It's so weird, it's wonderful that it's weird again. Like it's a full circle thing for me. Okay, so his rating system is 1 eyeball, so easy. Anybody can do this right now. 2 eyeballs, it's doable. This may take some planning or forethought, but it's nothing you can't handle. 3 eyeballs, enjoyably challenging. You'll make an effort, but it'll be worth it. 4 eyeballs, advanced. Noticing has become an adventure. So some of these things will be really easy and some of them will take you a while. Like, conduct a scavenger hunt. One of my favorites in here, spot something new every day. Okay. That's a 1 eyeball thing. Anybody can do this. Spot something new every day. And this is art of noticing, art of paying attention. When you look around to all the weird things that are weird and wonderful in your life that you didn't previously notice, it can spark ideas, creative ideas, motivation ideas, different things to draw, different things to think about, mashups for illustrations. Like, it's so much fun when your brain starts doing this stuff. And he has a list of things to watch out for. Security cameras, abandoned payphones, neighborhood watch signs, like anything weeds. Like if you are a person that does more walking than driving, looking around for specific colored flowers or weeds or stray traffic cones, like hand-painted signs. These are all things you can notice. Take a color walk. One of my favorites in here is like go to a museum and look at everything else but the art. Oh my God, I love that so much. Could you imagine? I haven't done it, but I want to do that one. And maybe we'll do that together where you look at all the things except the art on the walls. You look at the tags, you look at the flooring, you look at the ceiling, you look at the people, and then you can draw that. So there's great quotes in here. Sketch a room you just left. So this is 2 eyes in the rating system. Take in your physical environment carefully, then move to a different one. Now sketch the layout of the room you just left. It doesn't need to be a detailed recreation, but strive to capture the basis of the space, including what is in it, the positioning of the doors and windows, for instance, and the footprint of the furniture. Try it. These, like, you're doing a recall activity for your brain. So not only are you doing fun, interesting things you've never drawn before, but you're also challenging your brain in different ways. And I think that even if you're not an artist, this can be really good as a brain sort of challenge, and different sort of brain teasers, brain activities are really good as you age, as you live in the world. Look like a historian. Like there's just, I love this. And again, it's very black and white with red illustrations that are very graphic, sort of graphic illustrations. Anyways, I'm here for it. So a scent walk, observation of smell, try smell hunting, collect 4 final smells, like just teasing your senses and exploring and different ways of seeing the world and going through this. I love it. I absolutely love this. And again, I think this is for any creative level. I think this is for people that aren't even really interested in art. It could just be really fun. You could get kids, families, neighbors involved. Like all ages could do this. Yeah. So, and the challenging ones are definitely a challenge. Trespass, urban exploration. Behind the scenes sites yet undiscovered. So this really tries to get you out of your usual routine and really break up the patterns that we live in our life and explore. There's a children's book, and I'm going to try and remember it. I will throw up an image if I can find it. It's called like 1 inch by 1 inch, and they have garden and backyard, tundra, forest, and it teaches kids to sort of go down and look 1 inch by 1 inch and see what they see in individual inches. And we did that early on in our homeschool career with these books. But it's another way of sort of reframing your perspective and getting motivation and inspiration and ideas. And it just, any way that changes you to look at the world a little differently and see things completely new is so good for you. I mean, explore the children's section as well, always, because kids have the best books. But I think this one is absolutely phenomenal. And again, 4 out of 5 stars. The next one I want to talk about is 10 years old. Let me go back to the beginning again. I ebooked all these. This is called Art Before Breakfast. This is by Danny Gregory. It's a zillion ways to be more creative no matter how busy you are. So you can really see the theme of this Art Reads video today. This has 160 pages and it was published in February 2015, so technically it's a little over a decade old. I love this book. This is definitely a book that maybe your library has because it is on the older side. That also being said, you may have heard of this book before and this may be moot and you're no longer interested because you're familiar. But the table of contents, you know, the big problem is time, why it matters, art with a small a, the aha artifact, 1 minute about me, how to develop a creative habit, shop but not till you drop, let's get started. And there's all these exercises and the illustrations are absolutely phenomenal. I think these are so much fun. The style, the individual pens and all the different things. It's very like one little paragraph and a drawing and you just keep going. And it's a different Friday lesson, Saturday's lesson, Sunday's lesson. All these different rules, all these different exercises to really get you out of your head. I think some of these could be put into warm-up drawing exercises. Some of these could be something you do on a regular basis. Some of these could be fun, like once a year. Again, I don't know if what you need to own and what you don't need to own and some of those things, but I definitely appreciate this book and any book that sort of gives ideas and has you thinking differently and really tries to challenge things. Backyards aren't just for mowing. So commune with nature, take your lunch break in the park, breathe the air, listen to the birds, feel the sun on your face, draw a flower, a bird, a hill covered with the first daffodils of spring, draw clouds, waves, sunsets. It can be as simple as that or as complex as that. So these are just ideas for the artist block, for the burnout. You know, if you're stuck in a rut, if you need a couple books from the library to sort of, you know, get you out of that. The 15-minute colored pencil lesson. Like there's just a bunch of really fun things in here that I think are great takeaways no matter where you're at in your journey. And yeah, some of this could be considered a little more advanced, but it's your level that you bring to it. So if you bring a beginner's level to these assignments and these fun little quick quirky lessons, you've done it correctly. You did what was asked. If you bring an intermediate level, you did what was asked. Like it doesn't matter where you're at. And these are things that you could revisit years later and do again, and then see your growth. So if you had a sketchbook that was just warm-up exercises or things specifically from specific books, you could date them and then revisit it in a year and go back and be like, okay, I'm drawing this again. I'm doing this little challenge again. This was a ton of fun. Or I only like to draw this and do this once a year as a challenge to break up sort of my artist block. And then you can literally see your growth in one sketchbook. So the stop comparing yourself to others and just compare yourself to your growth as you progress is the best way to look at this. And I love these. Some of these are very, very simple. Again, like 4 or 5 sentences. Try the other end. Hold the pen at the far end. Hold the pen at the far end so the pen swings loosely and is harder to control. Your lines will have a sweeping fluid quality that can transform your artwork. So holding your pen differently changes the style in which you draw. As simple as that. And it could be a 15-second sketch and then you did a sketch today. So, and that is one hurdle if you are having artist block to sort of get through that, get over that. I will show other examples, but this is such a fun book. He draws on like a receipt. I love that. I love drawing on receipts. The carbon paper is really weird, and so it's a lot of fun. Yeah, totally recommend this book. Any book that has ideas to help with creativity is a book that I am interested in looking at. And I look through so many year after year after year that sometimes I get bogged down and I lose where I'm at. But a lot of them are just 3 out of 5 stars, and they're not for everyone. And I like this book. I think it's for everyone, so I give it 4 stars. My honorable mention. Okay, now this is a very specific one. This is a magazine, and I don't know if your library has this or if your library can get this. So I'm going to do sort of a deeper in-depth dive and show you what it encapsulates, and you can make notes and sort of create your own copy if you do not have the budget for this, because the price I've seen of this is a price of a book. So brand new, this magazine is $19 and I've seen it used for like $15. This magazine is called Art to Reduce Anxiety. It is by Future Publishing Limited. It is 100 pages and it was published September of 2023. So it is not quite 2 years old yet. This is the newest one I'm talking about. Now, there's a bunch of interesting aspects of this book. Now, I found this at my library, a digital copy. So I'm not sure how you could get this at a budget price at all. So let's talk about this magazine. And I have it pulled up and we are going to go through this together. So understanding emotions and how your emotions affect everything you do in your life is sort of one of those essential tools. Again, that's not taught, it's not talked about. It's sometimes being very self-reflective, and sitting in your own feelings can be very, very difficult. Sometimes it's not a thing that we ever do or don't want to do. So this is one of those where you definitely start stepping into that and start feeling your feelings. And even if you don't suffer from anxiety, even if it's like nerves or you're sad or any sort of strong emotion that could be sort of on the more negative side of the scale, I think this magazine and the ideas in here are incredibly beneficial. So, acknowledging how you feel. Absolutely. And it has doodle pages. So I am going to link in the description box. There was a thing that went around to the museums, like Color Our Museum, and a bunch of museums created their own coloring pages. And so if you want free coloring pages that are art related or museum related, I think there's a botanical gardens in New York that has a fabulous one with flowers. I will link those in the description box, and you can print from home your own free coloring pages. And that is a way to budget and sort of sit in that meditative state of drawing and coloring can be stress reducing. And that is a very sort of important aspect of drawing and creating, is how it makes you feel. And there are adult coloring books for a reason. They absolutely sort of turn your brain off and help with your stress levels. So they start going into colors, the use of colors. So they have like plain color pages, and they talk about the psychology of each color. Again, I can link an article about the different moods that colors evoke, and you doodle over that. So you could watercolor a watercolor page, let it dry for many, many hours. You don't want it to gunk up your pen. And then you can sort of reverse color and draw and doodle over it, things that you associate with that color, things that, make you happy. Breathe it in when panic takes over, controlling your breath. So there are breathing exercises, and it's the inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, repeat. Well, they say 5 times. I've read it as 4 times. It's called box breathing. There are breathing exercises you can do to help you with panic attacks and when you start getting really super anxious. So I will link an article on that. Doodle pages, employing your 5 senses. Draw 5 things you can see. Okay. We need to talk about the PTSD exercise of getting back into where you're currently at. So sometimes with PTSD, it can be an auditory trigger, it can be a visual trigger, and you get pulled into that memory. This happens a lot with the military and when they've retired from service or left the service and having visual and audio flashbacks. And there is a grounding exercise where if they are locked into, I know this is such a heavy topic. Again, if you were triggered by any of this, please bow out. I absolutely understand. I hope you have a wonderful day. If you're staying, this topic's a tough one. But if you or someone you love gets locked into a flashback like that, you sort of hold on with a pressure that doesn't hurt, but a pressure that isn't too feather light, and you do the grounding thing. I need you to tell me 5 things you can see. I need you to tell me 4 things you can hear. And then they go through that. I need you to tell me 3 things you can feel, 2 things you can smell, and if possible, one thing you can taste. This takes that PTSD exercise and puts it into the drawing category. Draw 5 things you can see. Draw 4 things you can hear. Draw 3 things you can feel. 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. It puts it into the art aspect of it. Now, there are reminder things. There's stickers on Etsy. I will throw one up that has that sort of cheat sheet of that PTSD. Come back to this moment. Come back to where you are right now and be in this moment. Not the one you were triggered to, but stay in this one with me, please. And so if you need a sticker reminder, or you're creating your own sort of anxiety sketchbook or whatever, you can throw a sticker on there or whatever, and recreate your own drawing wise that helps you with the grounding exercise. Again, I understand this is a very difficult subject matter. I have in my resources things, if you need help, I try and link them in every video, resources to help you. I am here for you, and I want you to reach out. Ask for the help you need, please. Absolutely. I am not licensed in anything mental, physical, anything. I am an artist. I am an illustrator. I am a creator. And so I can only bring it to you from this viewpoint. And I think this magazine is absolutely priceless. I wish it was a required purchase of every single library everywhere. It's not. And I wish it was available at a budget price so everybody who needs this could have this, because sometimes healthcare is really hard to get. Again, more doodle pages, muscle relaxation. Use these pages to draw on doodling whatever you feel. So drawing facial expressions. And if you're not good at faces or you're not interested in portraits, just doing simple emoji facial expressions can be very, very clear cut what you're feeling. So just draw in different circles and then doing the emoji facial expressions. And you can do that every single day. You can incorporate that into your journaling. This is how I feel. Feeling your feelings is absolutely priceless, and it's very important, and having you do it in a way where it's illustrative is awesome. Okay. 3-3 rule, pulling back from panic with the power of 3s. Pay attention to what you can see and hear and what you can feel, and draw them in a mindful way. So again, it's playing into that PTSD technique. It's very similar to that 5-4-3-2-1 we talked about, and it employs your 2 key senses, sight and hearing, and then finishes with kinesthetic, like what you can touch and movement and your body. So any of these mix and match, create the one that makes sense to you, lean into that. Sometimes having like a touchstone in your pocket can really help pull you out of things and to help remind you where you're at. There's so many different things you can do with anxiety that it's hard to encapsulate it into one drawing magazine, but I think they did a really good job. Using your hands to pull yourself out of a spiral. So what do they want you to do? Simply plunging your hands into a bowl of water produces an immediate physical effect that pulls you out of an anxiety loop. So if you are on a mental spiral that is going down in a bad way, or a not healthy way, having a strong physical something to pull you out. Washing your hands can do that, putting your hands under really cold water and sitting in that moment. Especially with those of us that create, it is really important you take care of your hand health. So even as you wash your hands, a little gentle hand massage, and then sit in that moment can be a 2 to 3 second, or if you wash your hands for 30 seconds, it can be a seconds long meditative exercise. For those of us that have trouble, and I definitely have trouble meditating, whether you're someone that likes to do it in the morning and have it be guided, or do it in the evening and have it be unguided just with your own thoughts and emptying your head, however you choose to do it. If you do both, that's fantastic. But if you're like me and you're a go, go, go person and sitting still is really hard, sometimes doing that meditative thing while you wash your hands and changing water temperature as you do it and doing gentle massages can really pull you into the moment, and you can have your own small meditative moments for yourself throughout the day. Okay? There's a way to incorporate all these things. Doodle, drawing what you feel, mood tracking, Okay, so they have like mood trackers. Again, I will link things that have free printable trackers if you don't want to draw or create your own. But it could be as simple as just printing out a calendar and writing what you feel. I notice my mood definitely fluctuates around my hormones as a woman, as a female, as somebody that identifies and has a uterus. I definitely notice that 48 hours prior to my cycle starting, I am weepy. I'm sad. And that's something that I was able to track and acknowledge and identify. So, however you identify and the parts and bits you have in your body, it's really important to pay attention to some of these things. Like I notice in the beginning of each month, I have a different energy and motivation level because it's the start of a new month. And at the end of the month, I am wiped out. So that is something that's cyclical through the month. And I just, understanding these things that are very specific and personal to you. Again, I'm talking about very personal things, but as examples of me, but every single body is different. And sometimes it can be a flux of the weather. And when you look at years, when you start tracking months, it's interesting within a month, but when you start looking at whole years, you can see how weather and seasons affect your mood and your feelings and where you're at and the change of theme of your art and some of this stuff, how it all plays in. It's all relevant, whether you have like tracking things or not. And they throw up different examples. Again, I'll link what I can find. Just doodling whatever you feel, burning off the adrenaline, calming your mind. A lot of this is just sort of getting things out and just doodling and drawing and just coloring things in. You don't have to create your own art every single time. You can just color in things other people have created and you get that same value. You get the same sort of stress release. You get that same sort of relaxation just coloring things in. And I don't mean it like, oh, you're just coloring things in. I mean, any time you put a pen or whatever medium to your surface, you are getting that art benefit. And art therapy is a legitimate therapy for a reason. It is very, very valuable. Again, doodling, brain training, distraction can be your friend. They have like a little puzzle page, spot the difference between two pictures, Sudokus, word changes, word searches. All these can be found online. You can find word searches and Sudokus for free to print. Just drawing, taking it steady. Drawing and coloring in patterns and things are really interesting for your mind. Doodling whatever you feel. Like they just really are trying to lean into that. Please draw what you feel because it really helps with your anxiety. And it's not a thing you notice right away. It's an overtime thing. And I'm trying to think, when I started journaling, I've been journaling, for over 2 years now, every single night. And it's part of my sort of close out my day. It's in my to-do list of closing out my day. Journaling my feelings has been a great way. And I describe it as sort of smoothing the edges. It's not a thing that will replace a therapist or medicine if needed. It's not a thing that replaces that. What it does is it sort of smooths the rough edges of what already exists. And I can't stress enough how journaling and drawing your feelings is so valuable. And it's something that you can do at home for free. Find any pencil, draw on the back of envelopes of junk mailers that you receive. You don't even have to have a sketchbook. Just anything you can find and put your little feelings on there and expound on that to figure out what times a day is best to do this in. Maybe you're having a really stressful phone call and pulling up a sketch pad while you're on the phone can really help. So maybe it's like a thing you do a little bit at work without getting in trouble. Just finding the time of days that help you. Maybe it's, around the coffee pot in the morning, starting your day when you're thinking about all the things you have to do, just doing some doodles and reducing your stress. Again, I will link my warm-up drawing exercise video because those are all things everybody can do, and it greatly helps with this anxiety, with the heavy feelings and emotions. It's very, very important. Sorry, my cats are going in and out and everybody's trying to help with the door. I love them. Okay, so this is pretty much this magazine, and I wanted to share it with you just because I don't think it's a resource everybody can get, and I hate when things are important and people are priced out of them or just aren't available to them. So mental health things as they pertain to art should be available to everyone and just aren't. So I am going to, we're just gonna, peel it apart and look at all the pages. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got a couple ideas out of it. I know this is a bit heavier than what I typically talk about, but I think in terms of art, it's very, very important to talk about the mental health aspect of it and what it can do for our mental health and how it can benefit us. So I hope this helped in any way, shape, or form. I hope it gave you a couple ideas or things to think about, or, a possible new trip to the library. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful week, and I will talk to you later. Bye.